Hello everybody, my name is Luis Fernandez Luque. I am e-health researcher at the Qatar Computing Research Institute. In this session, we are going to speak about the use of mobile and wearable technology for cancer. Let's start from the beginning, supporting the early diagnosis of cancer. I will give you some examples of how we can use mobile technology to help in the early diagnosis, which is very important to prevent cancer and also to reduce the impact in quality of life of the patient. One typical example is the use of mobile applications to take picture of moles so that you can track changes that may be an indication of a potential melanoma. There are many mobile applications that are very well developed that facilitate the communication with the dermatologists who are at the end, especially who are able to do the diagnosis. However, you have to be careful. Some of those mobile applications may go one step further. I even give you the diagnosis. And we know from research that many of those mobile applications are giving you the ground diagnosis. And having the ground diagnosis or thinking you don't have a melanoma and you actually have melanoma, which is a very serious skin cancer, may kill you. So you have to be very careful. And even though there are applications for the diagnosis of cancer, don't trust them. You always have to consult your physician. Also, in more research and in very early stage, there are people who are integrating sensors in, for example, bras that help you to detect changes in the breast, and that can be an early sign of potential breast cancer. Again, this is not going to be a substitute for mammography or the professionals making the diagnosis, but can help you to do the to identify changes that may be an indicator of something happening. In low-income settings, also mobile technology is being used to help professionals in the diagnosis of cervical cancer. So you may have in rural areas of Africa or places where you don't have a specialist, a healthcare professional taking picture of the cervix, and that's sent automatically to the specialists who are able to do the diagnosis. And also, more common nowadays, there are mobile applications that support the smoking cessation, either sending you mobile text messages or sometimes inside the application. And that can help to prevent relapse to smoking in places where actually there are high prevalence of smokers, and that can have a very big impact, including lung cancer prevention. However, I'm going to focus in the next slide in self-management, how mobile technology can support self-management. One of the reasons why we care so much about self-management is at the end of the day, we spend most of the time without the physicians. We are not in the hospital. So it's what we do in our home, with our friends, etc. outside the hospital that has very big impact. That goes for people with cancer and without cancer. But living with cancer requires an increasing amount of effort for self-care, especially now that many cancers are becoming chronic and long-term diseases. 4 years ago, Jackie Bender from the University of Toronto did a study reviewing over 200 mobile applications and found that very few, actually only 11 of those applications, they were supporting disease management. That's changing nowadays, and you will find more and more examples in many different diseases. Most of those mobile applications, they are in English, but some of them are appearing in another language. One example is OWISE. OWISE is a mobile application that helps to track the symptoms, side effects, how do you feel, etc. if you have breast cancer. And it's designed to support the communication with the physicians. So when the patient goes to the physician's office, can have the list of all the different symptoms and how that person has been handling the disease. And also at the same time in the mobile application, you can learn about the different treatments, how to better cope with the side effects, with the symptoms of the disease, etc. There are also examples of similar concepts, but to increase the communication between the nurses and children with cancer, which is often very challenging because kids may have lower communication skills. So what they did was a video game called Season at the University Hospital of Oslo that helps kids to better express how they feel about the different treatments, about their different symptoms, and by playing the video game, they are expressing how they feel. And they can take that, the nurses, to better guide the interview with the patient and learn more about the feelings of the patient, and also to identify which are the personal strengths that the kids have and may have an impact in the cancer care plan. More recently, in a very important oncology conference, they presented a study on the use of a tablet so that the patient can report their symptoms. And actually what they found is that the patients using the tablet survive longer. You will be surprised how come using a tablet can increase survival. But the principle was very simple. By using the mobile applications, the healthcare professional, they have very detailed information about the different symptoms of the patient, how they are doing, etc. And they use that information to increase and personalize more the treatment and the care for those patients. So if you are starting to have symptoms about something and the healthcare professional know, they can do something to minimize their impact. And at the end, that can have a huge impact in quality of life. This is actually happening right now. We have already the research results, and there are even researchers are taking one step further. They are using new technology at home, like weight scales, blood pressure monitor, etc., which can be integrated in a smart home to support in the future the use of those technology to enhance chemotherapy at home. So there are people who are working on using those technology, so maybe in the future it will be possible to get the chemotherapy not in the hospital, but at home. And that's part of an initiative, it's called In Casa, which is an European project.